For years, Sister Wives fans have debated who truly holds the power in the Brown family. Kody has always positioned himself as the patriarch, the leader, the man whose word was law. But one uncomfortable dinner scene in season 20 has blown that narrative apart entirely. What viewers witnessed was not a confident husband discussing family matters with his wife. It was a man visibly terrified of the woman sitting across from him. The setting seemed innocent enough. Kody and Robyn seated at a restaurant, cameras rolling, ready to discuss something that had clearly been weighing on him. He wanted to talk about apologizing to his ex-wives. He wanted to discuss the possibility of healing some of the wounds that have torn this family to shreds. Simple enough, right? Except nothing about what followed was simple. From the moment Kody opened his mouth, something felt deeply off. This was not the Kody Brown viewers have watched for over a decade. Gone was the authoritative patriarch who once lectured his wives about loyalty and respect. Gone was the man who dismissed Christine's concerns, ignored Janelle's independence, and emotionally abandoned Mary for years. In his place sat someone almost unrecognizable, someone nervous, someone hesitant, someone who looked like he was walking through a minefield with every single word. He stammered through his sentences. His eyes kept darting toward Robyn, searching her face for any hint of approval or disapproval. His thoughts trailed off into nothing, leaving sentences hanging in the air unfinished. At one point, he actually stopped himself to ask her directly if what he was suggesting sounded dumb. Not just once, but he corrected himself and asked if it sounded foolish instead. The patriarch of this plural family was literally asking permission to have his own thoughts. Robyn, meanwhile, sat across from him with an expression that gave away absolutely nothing. No encouragement, no support, no clear yes or no, just a neutral mask that forced Kody to keep talking, keep explaining, keep justifying himself while she offered nothing in return. The power dynamic on display was unmistakable. She held all the cards and he was desperate to figure out which ones she might play. Social media erupted the moment this scene aired. Viewers flooded Reddit and Facebook with observations that confirmed what so many had long suspected. One fan wrote that Kody appeared to be squirming in his chair, visibly uncomfortable because Robyn was giving him nothing to work with. Another stated plainly that he appeared frightened. Multiple people confirmed they saw genuine fear in his body language, noting it seemed like he was terrified of doing something wrong that might upset her. This was not a husband sharing plans with his supportive wife. This was something far more unsettling. And the worst part, this dinner scene was not some isolated incident. It was simply the most glaring example of a dynamic that has been building for years. But that was only the beginning of what this episode revealed. Sometimes words tell you one story while bodies tell you something completely different. In that restaurant scene, Kody's words were attempting to convey a man ready to make amends with his past, but his body was screaming something else entirely. Every gesture, every twitch, every nervous glance painted a portrait of a man operating under profound psychological pressure. Watch the footage closely and you will notice Kody leaning forward in his seat. Not in an engaged, confident way, more like someone bracing for impact. His shoulders were tense. His hands moved restlessly as he spoke. Body language experts would have a field day analyzing the submissive posture of a man who has spent his entire television career projecting dominance and authority. Then there were his eyes. Kody's gaze kept shifting toward Robyn between sentences, sometimes mid-sentence, desperately scanning her face for any reaction. He was not speaking to her as a partner. He was monitoring her like someone watching a judge deliberate their fate. Every micro-expression she made, or failed to make, seemed to either encourage him forward or send him spiraling into more hesitation. His speech patterns revealed even more. This is a man notorious for never being at a loss for words. Kody has delivered countless monologues over the years about family values, loyalty, and his vision for plural marriage. Yet in this moment, coherent sentences seemed almost impossible for him. He would start a thought, lose his train of reasoning, circle back, then abandon the point altogether. At one critical moment, he stopped himself completely and said he was not sure if he had made himself clear because he seldom does. Think about that admission for a moment. The man who has lectured 4 wives and 18 children for decades just confessed that he rarely communicates clearly. But the real question is whether that confusion is genuine or whether it has been manufactured by years of walking on eggshells around one particular person. Robyn's performance during all of this was equally telling. She maintained what observers have described as a mask of calm contemplation. Her face remained neutral, almost unnervingly so. She offered no enthusiastic support for his apology idea. She provided no clear objection either. She simply sat there, letting him twist in the wind of his own uncertainty. This technique is powerful, precisely because of what it withholds. By refusing to give Kody a clear signal either way, Robyn forced him to keep talking, keep explaining, keep seeking her validation. He was compelled to justify his own feelings and rationalize his own motives while constantly monitoring her for any nonverbal cue that might tell him whether he was on safe ground. The result was a man who appeared psychologically muzzled, not by anything Robyn explicitly said, but by the weight of her silent judgment hanging over every word he attempted to speak. Fans watching at home recognized exactly what they were seeing, and what they saw reminded them of someone very specific from Sister Wives history. The most devastating analysis of that dinner scene did not come from professional commentators or entertainment journalists. It came from everyday viewers on Reddit who recognized something painfully familiar in Kody's behavior. Their conclusion was brutal and impossible to ignore. Kody Brown has become the Mary of his own relationship with Robyn. Let that sink in for a moment. For years, fans watched Mary desperately seek scraps of affection from a husband who had emotionally checked out of their marriage. She tried everything to reconnect with him. She remained loyal despite his coldness. She accepted whatever crumbs of attention he occasionally tossed her way. And through it all, Kody treated her with barely concealed contempt, making her feel small and unwanted in her own marriage. Now the tables have turned completely. Viewers described watching Kody in that restaurant as witnessing a man who is always pleasing, always tiptoeing, always trying to get Robyn to smile at him or show him approval. He needs her validation constantly. He monitors her reactions obsessively. He adjusts his behavior based on her nonverbal cues. Sound familiar? It should. That is exactly what Mary did for years while Kody dismissed her as needy and problematic. The irony is almost too perfect to be accidental. The man who made his first wife feel invisible and unwanted is now experiencing that exact dynamic from the other side. He went all in for Robyn. He abandoned his entire family structure for her. He alienated 3 wives and most of his 18 children to prioritize her comfort and happiness. And now that she has him all to herself, sources close to the situation suggest she does not seem to like him that much anymore. One particularly sharp observation noted that Robyn once said she wanted to give Kody a honeymoon experience every time he visited her home. She fought to have him exclusively. She got exactly what she wanted. But somewhere along the way, the prize she worked so hard to claim seems to have lost its shine. The man who chose her above everyone else now appears desperate for the affection she seems increasingly reluctant to provide. This dynamic explains so much about the uncomfortable energy radiating from that dinner scene. Kody was not just nervous about discussing his apology tour, he was terrified of displeasing the one person whose opinion still matters to him. After losing 3 wives and the respect of most of his children, Robyn is literally all he has left. That dependency has shifted the entire power structure of their relationship. He used to hold all the cards in his marriages. He decided whose house to visit. He determined who received his time and attention. He controlled the emotional temperature of every relationship. Now he sits across from Robyn at dinner, stumbling over his words, desperate to read her blank expression for any sign that he has not made a catastrophic mistake. The king has become the court jester, and everyone watching noticed. While Kody's nervous dinner performance shocked viewers, it was Robyn's separate emotional breakdown that truly sent fans into analytical overdrive. When producers asked her a seemingly innocent hypothetical question about how she would feel if one of Kody's ex-wives wanted to return to the family, her reaction was immediate and visceral. She completely fell apart. The question clearly caught her off guard. Her face shifted instantly from composed to distressed. Within seconds, tears were forming in her eyes. She started to respond but could barely get the words out. She stammered that she would be very surprised and did not even want to answer the question because it was making her emotional in ways she had not anticipated. Then came the statement that launched 1,000 fan theories. Robyn tearfully confessed that hope is dangerous sometimes. She explained that the producer's question had opened a little portal of hope she had not allowed herself to consider. She said she could not go down that road because she would fall apart and could not be on the set if she let herself think about it. On the surface, this appears to be a woman genuinely mourning the loss of her plural family, someone who truly misses having sister wives and dreams of reconciliation. But fans who have watched Robyn's behavior for years are not buying that interpretation. They see something far more calculated beneath those tears. Consider the timing. This emotional display came shortly after Kody announced his his intention to apologize to Christine, Janelle, and Mary. Robyn had already shown reluctance about that plan during their dinner conversation. Now suddenly she is weeping about the mere possibility of an ex-wife returning. Some viewers believe her tears stem not from hope but from fear. If Kody successfully reconciles with his ex-wives, even partially, the narrative Robyn has carefully constructed over the years begins to crumble. She has positioned herself as the victim of the other wives' jealousy. She has maintained that she wanted plural marriage while they chose to leave. If Kody apologizes and takes responsibility for his role in those breakups, where does that leave Robyn's version of events? One fan put it bluntly. They suggested Robyn does not want Kody to apologize, because if he does, she would also have to take responsibility. She arranged for the other wives to be portrayed as antagonists, while positioning herself as the innocent target of their resentment. An apology tour threatens that entire framework. Others interpreted her breakdown differently. They believe Robyn is experiencing genuine regret, but not about losing sister wives. Rather, she is realizing that winning Kody exclusively has not delivered the happiness she expected. She fought for years to have him all to herself. Now she has exactly that, and the victory feels hollow. Either way, those tears revealed a woman grappling with consequences she may not have fully anticipated. The portal of hope she fears might actually be a door she desperately wants to keep closed. That uncomfortable dinner scene did not exist in a vacuum. It was the culmination of patterns that have been building for years. Patterns that suddenly make perfect sense when viewed through the lens of Robyn's quiet control over Kody. And nothing illustrates those patterns more clearly than the infamous COVID rules that tore the Brown family apart. During the pandemic, Kody implemented a set of restrictions so extreme they made CDC guidelines look casual by comparison. His rules demanded that family members clean their mail with alcohol wipes, shower immediately after returning from the grocery store, and maintain strict social distancing even from their own relatives. The regulations were so impossible to follow that his other wives and children found themselves effectively banned from seeing Kody for months at a time. Kody insisted publicly and repeatedly that these rules were his decision alone. He claimed they came from his doctor. He got visibly angry when anyone suggested Robyn had influenced their creation. But here is what viewers noticed. While Mary quarantined alone, while Janelle's sons were told to move out for not complying, while Christine handled their daughter Isabel's major spine surgery without her husband present, Kody spent virtually all his time at exactly one location, Robyn's house. The rules that supposedly protected the entire family somehow resulted in Kody living full-time with his fourth wife while barely seeing anyone else. Coincidence? Fans stopped believing that long ago. Christine herself acknowledged during season 19 that Robyn had been plotting this outcome for years. The COVID protocols were simply the perfect mechanism to achieve what Robyn had allegedly wanted all along. When the other wives confronted Kody about the rules during a family meeting, something telling happened. Christine asked directly whether following the protocols would allow them to gather for Christmas. Instead of answering, she looked at Robyn, and Robyn, rather than responding, pointed at Kody. He became furious, demanding to know why everyone kept looking to Robyn for approval when he was supposed to be the head of the family. But that anger revealed more than he intended. If Robyn truly had no influence over these rules, why would the wives instinctively look to her for permission? Why would Kody feel threatened by that dynamic unless he knew deep down that they were right about where the real power resided? Robyn later claimed she would never have chosen what happened during COVID if she actually had the power everyone accused her of having. She insisted she would have found a compromise that kept the family together, yet somehow the outcome perfectly matched her apparent interests. Kody isolated with her, the other marriages crumbled, and she emerged as the last wife standing. That dinner scene where Kody nervously sought her approval suddenly fits a much larger pattern. He has been deferring to her judgment for years. COVID just made it impossible to hide anymore, and now his apology tour threatens to expose even more. When Kody announced his intention to apologize to Christine, Janelle, and Mary, it should have been a moment of hope for the fractured Brown family. Here was a man finally acknowledging that he caused pain, that his anger created damage, that telling his ex-wives he never loved them was cruel and untrue. But watching Robyn's reaction to this announcement told a very different story. She did not embrace him with encouragement. She did not express relief that he was finally taking accountability. Instead, she sat in stunned silence, processing what he had just said with an expression that fans immediately recognized as something other than support. Later, she admitted to producers that she was trying hard not to give him too much reaction because she needed time to process. She added pointedly that Kody says a lot of things that may not even happen. That last comment landed like a quiet bomb. His own wife publicly suggesting that his stated intentions might be meaningless. His own wife hedging against the possibility that this apology tour would actually occur. Was she simply being realistic about his follow-through, or was she subtly discouraging the entire endeavor? Fans online dissected her every expression during that conversation. One viewer asked directly what was with the look on Robyn's face. Another stated plainly that Robyn does not like the apology idea. Many mocked what they perceived as exaggerated blinking, joking it looked like Morse code signaling her disapproval. But beneath the humor was a serious observation. Something about Kody seeking reconciliation with his ex-wives clearly disturbed her. The theory that emerged makes uncomfortable sense. If Kody apologizes to Christine, Janelle, and Mary, he is implicitly acknowledging his role in destroying those marriages. He is admitting fault. He is validating their decisions to leave. And where does that leave Robyn, who has spent years positioning herself as the innocent victim of jealous sister wives who abandoned the family? Her entire narrative depends on the other women being the problem. She has portrayed herself as someone who desperately wanted plural marriage to work, while they chose monogamy and independence over family unity. If Kody suddenly takes responsibility for driving them away, Robyn's victimhood evaporates. The finger she has pointed at others starts curving back toward herself. There is also the matter of access. During this apology tour, Kody plans to meet individually with each ex-wife. Robyn will not be present for these conversations. She cannot control what gets said, what gets admitted, what emotional reconnections might occur. After years of seemingly influencing Kody's perceptions of his other relationships, she now faces the possibility of him forming independent conclusions without her input. Sources suggest Robyn looked worried rather than happy when Kody mentioned a woman emailing about joining the family. For someone who claims to want plural marriage, she shows remarkable anxiety whenever that possibility inches toward reality. The apology tour represents everything Robyn cannot control, and control appears to be something she values deeply. While Kody was busy planning his carefully orchestrated apology tour for the cameras, one of his own children delivered a devastating public takedown that exposed the entire redemption narrative as fiction. Leon Brown, Kody's child with ex-wife Mary, broke their social media silence to call their father exactly what they believe him to be: a liar, a joke of a father, and someone who has not reached out since tragedy struck the family. The timing of Leon's statement could not have been more damaging. Kody had just appeared on the Vile Files podcast, claiming that he was the one reaching out to his estranged children. He portrayed himself as a father desperately trying to reconnect while his ungrateful kids refused to reciprocate. It was a sympathetic narrative designed to rehabilitate his image. Leon obliterated it with a single Instagram post. Taking a break from their social media hiatus, Leon wrote that there was a ridiculous video of their father circulating where he claimed to be reaching out to his children. Then Leon made themselves absolutely clear. They had not heard from Kody since their brother Garrison took his own life in March of 2024. Not a call, not a text, not a single attempt at contact during the most devastating period of the family's existence. But Leon did not stop there. They revealed that Kody had blatantly blown them off at Garrison's funeral, their own brother's memorial service, and their father could not be bothered to acknowledge them. The man currently touring television shows talking about reconciliation and healing apparently walked right past his own grieving child at a funeral. Leon's partner Audrey added fuel to the fire, commenting that what Kody was saying on that podcast was verifiably not true. This was not interpretation or perspective. This was a direct accusation that Kody was lying to the public about his relationship with his children. The response from Sister Wives fans was immediate and brutal. One viewer pointed out the stunning hypocrisy that Kody could find time for podcast appearances and television apology tours, but could not show up for his own daughter's surgery years earlier. Another noted that if Kody genuinely wanted to repair relationships, he should start with his children rather than the ex-wives who have clearly moved on and built better lives without him. Even Mike Kelty, who had long served as a bridge between Kody and his estranged children, confirmed the pattern. She stated that Kody had reached out to her but added a crucial condition. She refuses to reconcile with him until he treats all her siblings properly. She specifically mentioned wanting him to be nice to Isabel, to visit truly, to actually show up for the children he has neglected for years. The apology tour might make good television. It might generate headlines and social media engagement. But his own children are publicly declaring it a performance, and their accusations raise uncomfortable questions about what Robyn knows. The cracks in Kody's carefully constructed image are not just visible to outside observers. His own children have been watching, processing, and reaching conclusions that paint a devastating picture of their father's choices. And perhaps no one has offered more revealing insights than Mike Kelty, who once served as the family's unofficial peacemaker. For years, Mykelti maintained relationships with both Kody and Robyn when most of her siblings had walked away. She defended them when others attacked. She invited Robyn to be present for the birth of her twins. She believed in the possibility of family reconciliation when everyone else had given up hope. But recent revelations suggest even Mykelti's loyalty has reached its breaking point. In a stunning admission, Mykelti confessed that she no longer knows whether Robyn targeted her when joining the family to have someone on her side, or whether Robyn genuinely needed help and Mykelti provided it. She openly questioned whether her entire relationship with her stepmother was built on manipulation rather than authentic connection. That doubt from someone who defended Robyn for years speaks volumes. Mykelti also revealed something that reframes the entire Brown family origin story. She disclosed that Kody instructed the entire family to present a beautiful front when Robyn was being courted. They were told to hide their problems, minimize their conflicts, and showcase only the positive aspects of plural marriage. The goal was making Robyn want to join a family that was already fractured beneath the surface. According to Mykelti, Robyn had no idea about the serious issues plaguing the Browns when she married Kody. The rose-colored glasses eventually came off, and she discovered that the family she thought she was joining did not actually exist. The problems were not little disagreements, they were fundamental fractures that had been deliberately concealed. This revelation raises profound questions. If Robyn felt deceived about the family she married into, did that betrayal shape her subsequent behavior? Did discovering the truth harden her into the controlled, calculating presence fans now observe? Or did she simply adapt to a dysfunctional system and learn to manipulate it for her own benefit? Madison, Kody's daughter with Janelle, has taken an even harder line. Reports indicate she has not spoken to her father in 2 to 3 years. The woman Kody once dismissed as the family gossip has simply removed him from her life entirely. No drama, no public confrontations, just silence that speaks louder than any words could. Isabel, who underwent major spine surgery without her father present because he refused to break his COVID protocols, maintains only minimal contact. The daughter he abandoned during her medical crisis has not forgotten, even if she has attempted to move forward. These children watched their father prioritize Robyn and her kids for years. They witnessed the favoritism, the neglect, the excuses. And one by one, they reached the same conclusion. Their father chose someone else over them, and that someone still controls him completely. Long before that uncomfortable dinner scene aired, dedicated Sister Wives viewers had been noticing something peculiar about Kody and Robyn's interactions. Small moments that seemed insignificant individually, but formed a disturbing pattern when viewed collectively. Physical touches at strategic moments, subtle gestures that appeared to signal Kody to change course. The quiet management of a man who supposedly leads his family. Watch old episodes with fresh eyes and you will see it everywhere. Robyn's hand landing on Kody's leg precisely when he starts venturing into territory she seems uncomfortable with. Her fingers touching his arm right before he shifts topics or softens his stance. These are not the casual affections of a loving spouse. To many observers, they look like the practiced interventions of someone managing a situation. Fans have used a specific word to describe this dynamic: handler. It is a term typically reserved for people who manage public figures, guiding their behavior and controlling their message. But viewers believe it applies perfectly to what Robyn does with Kody, especially in filmed situations where his words could create problems. The dinner scene brought this dynamic into sharp focus. Robyn did not need to explicitly tell Kody that his apology tour was a bad idea. She simply had to withhold her approval, maintain her neutral expression, and let his own anxiety do the rest. He talked himself into circles trying to read her reaction. He second-guessed his own thoughts without her saying a single discouraging word. That is control at its most sophisticated level. Consider what this means for a man who built his identity on being a patriarch. Kody spent decades positioning himself as the head of a large plural family. He made decisions, he set rules, he determined how resources and attention were distributed among his wives and children. His authority was the foundation of his self-image. Now that same man cannot articulate a simple plan without desperately scanning his wife's face for permission to continue. He asks her if his own ideas are foolish. He admits that he rarely makes himself clear, suggesting years of having his communication filtered or corrected. The patriarch has been reduced to someone who needs approval to think out loud. What would the manosphere say about this complete reversal? The online communities that celebrate traditional masculine authority would likely view Kody's current situation as a cautionary tale. A man who abandoned multiple relationships to please one woman only only to find himself utterly dependent on her validation, the alpha who became subservient. Robyn has never had to raise her voice or issue demands. Her power operates through silence, through withholding, through the implied threat of disapproval that Kody has learned to fear more than any direct confrontation. She controls him precisely because the control is invisible to anyone not paying close attention. But that dinner scene made the invisible visible, and now everyone is paying very close attention. The man who once proclaimed that love should be multiplied, not divided, now lives in a world where love has been monopolized entirely. Kody Brown built his public identity on leading a large plural family. He preached about the spiritual rewards of polygamy. He positioned himself as someone capable of loving multiple women equally while guiding them all toward a shared vision. That man no longer exists. What remains is someone who appears captured by the very dynamic he once controlled. The dinner scene was not an anomaly or a bad day caught on camera. It was the operating system of his relationship with Robyn laid completely bare for millions of viewers to witness. Every nervous glance, every stammered sentence, every desperate plea for her approval revealed a man who has lost access to his own autonomous self. This is how influence becomes control without ever announcing itself. Robyn did not stage a coup against the other wives. She did not issue ultimatums or make dramatic demands. She simply positioned herself as the person whose approval mattered most, then slowly withdrew that approval until Kody became dependent on earning it back. The COVID rules isolated him with her. The family conflicts pushed everyone else away, and now she is all he has left. His children see it clearly. Leon called him a joke of a father. Mykelti refuses reconciliation until he repairs relationships with all her siblings. Madison has not spoken to him in years. The adult children who grew up watching this family dynamic understand something their father apparently cannot admit. He traded everything for Robyn, and the return on that investment has been devastating. His ex-wives see it too. Christine built a beautiful new life with David Woolley. Janelle embraced her independence and seems happier than ever. Mary is dating again and finding her own path forward. The women Kody dismissed and neglected have flourished without him. Meanwhile, he sits in restaurants struggling to form coherent sentences while monitoring his remaining wife's facial expressions for any hint of displeasure. The apology tour he announced may happen. He may sit across from Christine, Janelle, and Mary and say the words he should have spoken years ago. But even that gesture of accountability required him to seek Robyn's permission first. Even admitting fault to his ex-wives needed her approval before he could proceed. The kingdom Kody built over decades has crumbled completely, not through dramatic confrontation or explosive arguments. It fell through quiet control, through strategic silence, through the steady erosion of his confidence until he became afraid to speak his own mind. The man who lectured 4 wives about loyalty and respect now demonstrates neither toward himself. He was not overthrown, he was captured, and his captor did not need force or fury. Just a silent gaze across a dinner table that said everything without uttering a word. Drop your thoughts below, like, subscribe, and stay tuned. The next video is waiting, and you will not want to miss what is coming next.